Pasha Paroh, thank you for tuning. Welcome back. Look, if you're new to the channel, this is not a network, okay? This is a constellation, all right? It's a constellation. So, a lot of people, when you're part of this constellation, a lot of people are mad at you or appear to be in their actions, right? And that's not to say their anger and things are going to certain levels of violence, right? If the word war resides with confusion, then doesn't that place war in between relationships, regardless of what kind of relationship it might be, right? So you got to look at what you're warring in life, okay? As a departure from the customer service voice. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna experience. You're gonna experience when you become a part of the constellations, right? Because people, they want to see you at ground level, at eye level. They want to see you at eye level. They have been taught, this is why we cannot blame them. We must just present them with an opportunity to know truth. Don't blame the others. Offer the opportunity of enlightenment. As we all don't know what we don't know. The question is, can we admit as individuals that there is what we think we know, then there is what we think we don't know, but beyond both of those, who knows that we don't know what we don't know? As many people attempt to categorize you and elements of your life and their life and the system that they're blind to, a category to me in quick deliverance of a variable of infinity would be that a category is a containment of potential. This is why there is the default problem. One of the FMEA's failure mode effect analysis findings of the argument of genuine versus authentic. As why Pasha always looks to feed you with be authentic, be genuine, not authentic. Because again, the title is the containment, the category. Pasha, why you don't do titles? Creates a certain terms and conditions, a certain set of rules and regulations in order for it to be Checkbox, checkbox, checkbox. You're in the category. You're authentic. What happens when you want to go beyond to those who want you to be authenticated? So a lot of people may appear mad simply because from their perspective, they can't authenticate your vision. And thus, we arrive at today's title. I conclude it would be Vision does not or doesn't wait for validation. Vision doesn't wait for validation. So Constellation members, in particular today, we will be looking into or adding to and or investing in our calibrators and our surveyors of truth within the constellation. Vision doesn't wait for validation. So thank you for attending and finding or becoming one with the frequency of today's live transmission about acceleration, autonomy, and we're looking to deliver as we achieve the architecture of mastery. See, someone once told you the inspiration for today's video was a LinkedIn post where they were saying one of those blanket statements that was expressing slow down, right? The all-out sprint, early burnout versus the steady pace, lasting success. Let me show you real quick. All right, so this was it. Today's inspiration. Today's reflection. And what she was saying in there was basic standard issue 2025 regurgitation in her own swag. A little AI frilling. Maybe not. But there's a success, Shagun, quotes, there's a success trap almost every professional falls into, and it's not about working harder, it's about rushing. And go visit Shagun, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I'm not, send us the annunciation. So the post, all-out sprint, early burnout, steady pace, lasting success. How do you feel about that if you were to see that on Facebook or LinkedIn or someone at the office or family or friend told you that in response to some shit you was telling them you was doing and not even saw you get going, get started, see what the pace actually was, but they told you something along the lines of slow down. We don't want you to burn out. Again, the key is they don't know the pace. I'm not talking to someone who's there with you every day, going through it with you, has experience with what you're talking about. I'm talking about the members outside of the constellation that do not see the world through the lens of our calibrators and surveyors of truth. When they tell you to slow down, when your coworkers tell you to slow down, instead of encouraging you or adding optimization for you, whether it's a brainstorm, questioning, contributing and or investing into the solution, however it comes through them naturally on their channel, the frequency that they own, who's to say their frequency is of no value? Math, this is why we need to stop trying to convert everybody into something. Should there not be an infinity of frequency? What if the number line, the number one, said to all the other numbers, you must become one with me. Then there wouldn't be no 100 for you to be. There wouldn't be no, can we go 50-50? There wouldn't be three's a crowd. Right? We would all be one. The numbers would all be one, and you couldn't count to 10. And you wouldn't need to count on anything beyond one. So is all the numbers one? That's where we get into the magic of zero. Anything and everything is the same thing. But that's another conversation. Let me stay focused on this, right? So what happens in life, I find, tell me the sky from your part of the constellation. The world is cold. We watch them go through this ritual. The world is cold. You'll feel, they'll tell you. So what the ground level, what ground has concocted was they could feed you blanket statements because the world is so cold. So the blanket statement, you put it on, you cuddle up with it, makes you feel warm in a cold world. Warm and fuzzy. While the world passes you by. That's the modern comfort economy. Right? That's our current state. It rewards calm over calibration. What do you know about inertia? Because what is it? Is it inertia? An object that rests will remain at rest unless acted on by outside force. Is that inertia or is it something else? Is the title important or is it the equation itself? Well, if one wanted to see you at rest, remain at rest, then a comfort economy rewards calm over calibration. So, in order not to have to calibrate and stimulate your reward systems, has your leadership intentionally or negligently rewarded your stagnation? Because calibration of something greater will require you to measure up. Is the circle around these people become that? Once we identify that is the question. The question for the ground then becomes, who are they with their new awareness? Water forms rivers and lakes. And if knowledge is power, and you were to put more power into the lake no longer remains calm. It starts bubbling with the heat. And you pick the variable that you want to replace. You want to give it more power and what? It's going to still have some sort of display of the change. It's going to go from comfort to uncomfortable. It was at ease. Now there appears to be dis-ease. It is now distilling. It's not a question of, is the alcohol distilled or is your water distilled to the highest quality? It's in what direction are they doing the distilling? To a magician. That's why somebody might tell you, don't get my book. They don't want you to know the strings. They want to tell you, be patient. They gonna get the book. Slow down are not always words of wisdom. Sometimes it's a sedation. The illusion of steady pacing. Go see my video about consistency. It's the same lullaby Keep showing up. Because if you go fucking hard as shit and you burn out, you might not show up in a week. Aren't you scared of that? Aren't you afraid of that? Well, I wrote the book. In 6 days, I rested on the 7th. There's a book that said when you put in work, you put in work for 6 days and you rest on the 7th when you are among the constellations. Because we are no longer, this is the quote that fucked up the internet. This is the quote that got, see, we are no longer passing through time. We are measured by it. Now, that's one quote from the book. It's less than, I don't know, 15, 20 words. The problem is not the value of that one quote is priceless. It's, no matter how you look at it, it will only pass your authentication. It's an infinity of value, but what do you see in it? It makes you uncomfortable. Because you're afraid of not showing up the same. And if you're afraid of not showing up the same, then tell me, how can you appreciate growth? You see why they don't want more members of the constellation. You can be whatever you want on ground level. Just don't join the constellation. So study pacing is all warm and fuzzy. But it's the enemy of readiness. Study pacing. Nobody, business owners in the United States, from the constellation standpoint, the view is nobody booked a meeting with you in 2021 and ghosted you for 4 years and showed up yesterday, Friday, October 25, and said, I'm not late for the meeting that I booked with you in 2021. I'm not late for showing up in October 2025 and you ain't heard from me, seen me. I'm not late. I was just study pacing. Nobody, absolutely nobody. I don't make blatant statements. That's just the truth. That's why people that make blanket statements that cover the ground don't like to talk long or often with members of the constellation. Because they were taught to cover the ground, they can't calibrate the thought of covering the sky. No. The meeting that you booked in 2021, you weren't study pacing. You missed it. You missed it. Now, why did you need that investment of story into your mentality whenever you're seeing this transmission from the constellations? It's because speed is an adaptation. Going fast now makes going fast easier later, or you'll be slow forever. No, because if you go fucking hard for 6 days, on that 7th day, you might feel like resting. You might feel like being a constellation. And we want to keep you on ground. What athlete gonna jog their way into explosiveness? You don't jog into explosive maneuvers. You don't practice jogging and nothing else. For months and show up to practice or to game day feeling explosive. It's just maybe your calibration of what explosive is based on your wanting to jog or jogging. What pilot cruise their way into liftoff? I want to see you hop on the plane, and as it get ready to take off, go tell the pilot, look, I don't want you, we on ground level are part of the steady pacing community. And we do not want you to give it full power. We want you to proceed down a runway, steady pacing. What boxer want to shadow box forever, waiting on permission to hit something with the leather, right? Look, a lot of people have been saved in a surgery after some sort of life-threatening whatever. You don't want the surgeon who learned precision by moving slow. No. You might feel like, oh, steady pacing, steady hit. No, you don't want the surgeon that learned precision by moving slow. You want the surgeon that moves decisively. See, because let's say 50-50. If we look at infinity, it's got to be a 50-50 or, a 49 point, you know what I mean, million out expansion infinity nines, because there might be that 0 point in the middle that's that defining precise polarity where there is no actual middle for those who are outside of the constellation and it's got to be 50% fast and 50% slow, right? But decisive can be anywhere in any of those. You can decisively move slow. You can decisively move at a casual pace. You can decisively move fast, and you can decisively move at an alarming rate. For the race car driver, control comes from cornering at speed, not brake. In music, timing's built on tempo, in the silence, but not in silence. See, they can't see at eye level, so they demonize you because the comfort of the ground allows the blanket statements to cover them in warm and fuzzy instead of rising to our level. For the creators, flow is found in motion. From ground level, the constellations appear to be moving, right? Nobody says, I ain't gonna say nobody. How many people says, wow, look at the constellations as we move across the sky? Because in order to see it like that, you would have to feel like you were on the same level. Love, the etymology of, it's not a verb. It's from Proto-Germanic lubo, L-U-B-O. See, love is a different grade. Many ground level people are looking for love and don't know what to do when they find it, because a different grade brings them out above their own comfort blankets. Speed is calibration. Calibration requires control. Control is the real patience. The preacher didn't wait to deliver the sermon, right? The preacher didn't wait until the church was perfect. The preacher didn't wait until the members of the congregation was perfect. The preacher spoke when the room was ready. Okay, we got some walls. We got some people. We ready. The tarot reader didn't wait for every single star to align. They read the moment. The message was alive. Vision doesn't wait for validation. Revelation doesn't arrive on a schedule. And if revelation doesn't arrive on a schedule, how you letting someone tell you to slow down? What if burnout is a part of the process? These ground level coaches keep giving them a warm and fuzzy blanket statement. A blanket statement. Because if they get full of more power, they might rise to the constellations. So they gotta be put on a schedule. A schedule is control. We need to slow down because you're gonna get burnt out. But the burnt out part is just when you're supposed to rest. What you crying for? Oh, that remind me of like the little kids that's tired. They get told to go to bed and they want to cry about it. So what do you do to your goals, right? Because you on somebody done locked you in the United States on a schedule. And now you feel tired, it's bedtime, and you want to cry about it. Instead of going to bed, you would try to stay out of sight as much as possible so you could stay up as long as possible. You want to stay up as long as possible. Because staying up to you is calibrated for the perception of being on the ground. So it's traumatizing to imagine being a part of the constellations, because when you look at the constellations from the ground, we go up and we come down. And you can't see that that's only from your perspective. they be like, oh man, because I rarely like do a throwback Thursday, so I might have posted the throwback Thursday, me in the drop, Benz, 2017. But I've always been this way about life. Yeah, it was mine. So what? And then I got the E350 after that. So what? Then I go carless. So what? Because when the Paganis get here, delivered to America, the new lookers may feel like how they feel. And they're gonna feel like that because they thought it meant something when certain things said it in your life before. You might have had this, and then from their perspective, you came down. Then they didn't see you no more. Then they see you back up again. Because we the constellations. That's how we live our life. You know what I mean? They just don't understand their attitude. And the word attitude means position. Because when the message is ready, delay becomes disobedience. That's why they want to stay up. Because they only up 5, 6, shack 7 feet off the ground. Whether it's true or not, they tell us, if you don't go to sleep, you won't grow. So it's not a matter of how long you stay up. It's a matter of, or even if you feel down, it's a matter of what have you produced? What have you invested during the period of time? How have you contributed? Again, we're not passing through time. We're measured by it. Truth has tempo. This is why constellations appear to go up and down from ground. Timing is sacred, and hesitation is the death of a calling. If you're playing a game of pool and you see this shot here, and you got that shot there, and you got this shot here, which is a super awkward bank shot. You gotta hit the cue ball off the bank, come out at the right angle, tap this ball into that ball to drop your ball into the corner, and you know you great call it like that. And it's some hard ass shit to do. But this shot over here is mad easier. It's comfortable. It's steady pacing. If you take this steady pacing, the whole entire rest of the game to its end, it's only going to be from that point. That's going to be the big bang, that moment of the universe that's created after you take that shot. It's a big bang of potential, of an infinite potential, but from that precise, calibrated moment. If you take this hard ass shot over here, the same thing applies. The hard one off the bank, the steady. The only difference is in the time that it takes to take a shot. What are you authenticating your outcomes to be? Are you not defining the potential of your future in every choice, one after another? So when you measure the last 5 minutes of choices, the last 5 hours of choices, the last 5 days of choices, of choices, when you look at the last 5 hours, 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, 5 years of choices, it's not that we pass through time. It's what can we measure you by in that time. So, if it's not about the time, then why study pacing? If you study pace and run 10 miles a day to get somewhere, right? Are you going to arrive before the person who ran to the car? You know what I'm saying? So what happens is you gonna study pace. They talking you into study pacing, jogging 10 miles a day for 30 years as a task, as a goal, in the hopes that you can retire. Because the last thing they want you to think about, you would leave their constellation on the ground that they call a network, but it's on the ground level. If you knew that you didn't have to run, so you didn't need to pace yourself slow to run 10 miles a day, if you knew that the get to the chopper, if you knew that the chopper was 8 miles away. Now let's make this. Let's do 10 miles. Let's just make the number the same. So you can run 10 miles a day for 30 years to get to a destination. Or you could run as fast as you can until you pass the fuck out. And maybe you only do that for 1 mile, 2 miles. Maybe it's 4,000 feet. So just, not mile, not close, but under, but not, too far. Whatever that case is for you. So you run that fucking shit as fast as you can, you fall the fuck out. You done on the 7th day of in your example. They like, we told him slow down. Should have paced himself. Now you sleep for 2 days. You fall off the map. You sleep for 2 days. You pop back up. Like, oh shit, I gotta keep going. But you rested, you recharged. Now you pop back up and you go hard as shit, right? Because you're not measured as a civilization or we're measuring as a constellation response time. See, on the ground level, people be like, yo, we need you here, right? We need you to appear. Like, all right, give me this amount of time to be there. It might be this speed if you walk. I need this amount of time when I'm gonna walk. It might be this amount of time if you hop behind the wheel. It might be this amount of time if you hop on the train and walk. It might be another amount of time if you hop in the Uber. It might be this amount of time if you hop in the plane. But no matter what, when you're a constellation, we already here. We already there. That's omnipresence. That's genuineness. Genuineness is accepting the infinity of truth. The cosmos of truth. Calibration is, do you fit in here? I mean, authentication is, do you fit in here? This box that we made for you. This containment field. So truth has tempo. Timing is sacred. Hesitation is the death of a calling. As we're no longer passing through time, we're measured by it. Speed is not recklessness. Speed is readiness. Patience should be a choice, not a cover for fear. See, momentum to a constellation, right? Look at it like this. From the ground level, when you're of the constellation, momentum is a spiritual language. Not everyone can translate it. So the slow down syndicate, right? It's a soft war on momentum. Because not all of your opposition in life arrives in hostility. Some of it comes wrapped with warm voices of concern, with these blanket statements. Those who tell you slow down are rarely practicing your peace, definitely not practicing your enlightenment. What they're trying to do is preserve the reserved position that they have for you. Whether that's in their mind, their projection issues, or where they're really trying to contain you at. That's why they want to give you the attitude. Steady pacing. They call it patience, but it's really permission control. They say don't stop. They say stop. They're going to tell you to wait. Because if you wait long enough, you'll lose all momentum. That's the weaponization of your reflection of time. One quote in the book: we're no longer passing through time, we're measured by it. Y'all don't. The ground level can't appreciate such value. This book isn't for the masses. It's going to be for the masters of now to 2040. That's who's going to grab this book. Every pause encouraged is an opportunity for your rearranged potential. Do you want to decide which shot to take on that pool table? Or do you prefer your own relinquishing of self-control? They want you late, but not lost. Because if you arrive after the gates closed, they can say, see, you weren't ready. It's how mediocrity justifies its monopoly. The language of delay is control's lullaby. They're gonna hum you to sleep. What was that song in the comments constellation? Killing me softly with his song. Right? Killing you softly is the bleeding of all momentum. What keeps us is the motion. So if you get hummed to sleep by blanket statements, warm covering, soft advice, you'll mistake sedation as your peace. Then missing your flight isn't an accident. It was a strategy. Was it yours? Every time you hesitate, you make room for someone slower but louder to board you as an opportunity. Under the pretense they're grounding you for safety. They're grounding you for scheduling. Acceleration, right? Think about this. Acceleration isn't arrogance. It's awareness. What does great automobile orchestrators do? When they go somewhere they never been before, you study pacing. Cause you trying to see, you trying to get to know, you trying to get familiar with. How long, once you gain awareness, once you know your way, once you know the police like to sit around right over there most of the time. So when we get here, but the rest of the time you can do 140. How long before you gain awareness? This curve, we gotta take like this. When a person who orchestrates automobiles do they travel? Do they proceed at the same speed in awareness as when they don't know? Is that why the pro driver shows up to the circuit, the raceway, and does practice laps? The wealthier teams have spare cars and practice cars, whatever, and you push it to the limits after you get to know the course, because once you know the course, the next thing to know is the limitations of the course. Well, under these conditions, this temperature, these tires that we're running today, the air, the wind, we can max out turn 4 at precisely 135 miles per hour, and we have to brake for at least 20 feet. The brake rotors will heat to a glow at this amount of degrees, and you cannot hold the brakes for more than this many seconds, or else we'll start to increase damage. See, that's the view of a constellation. Not slow down, you'll burn out. Because on the pro race car circuit, they know when to come in for a pit. They didn't say, we're going to steady pace. Acceleration isn't arrogance. It's awareness. But because there's people who benefit from your stillness, a lot of people will appear to be mad at you once you become a constellation because of your perceived distillness. The divide is simple. It's the masses versus the masters. And I don't mean in you know, that part of history, although it does apply for abusers of anything. Mastery over it will ultimately give control over the masses. It's a question of, does the ground want to balance with the sky? What if the ground just needed to know? Because the book said, or the quote says, as above, so below. Wasn't that some great programming? Because If you look at it like this, you got above and you got below. You feel like there's a top and there's a bottom. Tops associated with good, bottoms associated with, right? But what happens if we turn it like this? Doesn't that start to like appear to be a 1 on your screen? So maybe we were once all one, not up and down, not as above, so below, not top and bottom, but equal to each other. Does the ground level want to balance with the constellation, the sky? Or because that whole concept would be the turning of one into grounding, meaning you fell down. Is that like forced rest? Is that not what we're talking about here? Burnout? When the one falls over and becomes one with the ground, that's burnout. When the one has then rested and recovered and is ready for more momentum, it'll rise again. So there's no point in us rushing the ground. So the masses versus the masters. It's really about whatever you're doing in life. This book is going to help you with mastery of it. One Nation, the white paper, One Nation under design, is not a blanket statement. It's a guide to the constellations of leadership in your industry. The weak architecture is of blame. They want directions. Massive wants prescriptions, not principles. They prefer that comfort. They prefer the comfort as control. But if they move fast or they move without direction, then they can't blame the map maker who gave them the directions. Right? So they'd rather be included than independent. To determine if you are of the masses or the masters, the first 14 pages are available for you to read. Do you comprehend speed, or are you of the steady pacing community? Are you of the mindset as what you look up to works for 6 days and rest on the 7th because that's burnout? Let there be light until the candle burns out. The light comes back when you have a new candle, when it's recharged. So do you comprehend speed? Read the first 14 pages and see if you are of the masses that won't continue in it, or are you of the masters of reality who's going to finish the book? It's not a hard read. It's hard to slow down to read because you were taught steady pacing. You weren't taught decisiveness because your vision may not require their validation, but you want to be accepted so bad. You don't understand steady pacing is frequency control, which is vibe monitoring. All right. Again, to calibrators and surveyors of the truth within the constellation, today's exercise is for your sharpening. Consume. Enjoy.